Hi, it's me, Olivia. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel for interesting stories and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the description. Thanks. My name is Tom. Well, it was Tom, it's now Kathy, and my wife, yes, wife, is Jackie. We met in college when I was a sophomore and she was a junior, and both had a love of the theater, and that is where we met and this trip began. We were preparing for the second play of the year, with the first performance scheduled for a couple of weeks after spring break. I was working on sets and Jackie was a member of the cast, as well as working on costumes and makeup. I don't remember the name of the play any longer, but the cast was all female. Jackie and I were just nodding acquaintances at this time. I thought that she was out of my league. But this was all going to change in a very big way very soon. When I showed up at the theater after classes on that Thursday, I noticed that there was a big meeting going on with the cast and director, Mrs. Ball. I went over to where the other stage crew members were working and asked what was going on. The stage manager said that one of the cast members had been skiing and had taken a nasty fall, breaking both of her legs, and that they were trying to figure out how to fill her part, and if they didn't, the play would be canceled. I just shook my head and started working on the set. About an hour later, I noticed Jackie looking in my direction and then talking to Mrs. Ball. Then I caught Mrs. Ball looking in my direction. A few minutes later, Jackie was standing next to me. She said, "Can I talk to you in private?" "Sure. What's up?" I said. "Let's go sit in the back of the theater." We walked to the back of the theater and sat where no one could overhear us. Jackie said, "Did you hear about Jennifer's skiing accident? She will be in the hospital for a couple of weeks and laid up for about 6 more. So, she won't be able to be in the play." "It was Jennifer?" "I'm really sorry to hear that. Jennifer is so nice." "Are they going to be able to fill her part in time for the play to open?" "That's what I want to talk to you about." "What can I do?" "Well, Mrs. Ball and I have been talking about this. They have been looking for another girl to fill Jennifer's part and haven't been able to find anyone. We had problems finding enough girls to start with, and now with Jennifer being out of the picture, it's a real problem. And we thought that you could help." "In what way?" "Well, you're about Jennifer's height and you are skinny." "Wait a minute. Are you saying what I think you're saying? You want me to play Jennifer's part? There is no way that I could pass for a girl. And I'm not skinny. Now let me finish. With the right makeup, clothing, and coaching, Mrs. Ball and I figure that you could pass well enough to do Jennifer's part. It will take some work, and with spring break next week, we could work on it all week if you're not going home. It could be fun." Now, something that I haven't told anyone yet. I've been a closet crossdresser for as long as I can remember. I haven't been able to dress well here at school, as they require freshmen and sophomores to live in a dorm, and my roommate is a real jock. But since both of my parents died in my senior year of high school, I've been living with my mother's sister, Jane, on a small ranch outside of Salt Lake City. Aunt Jane was the only person, until now, who knew of my crossdressing, and she had no problem with it. She is a very open-minded lady, and one of her sayings is, "If it feels good, do it." When I'm there during the summers and breaks, I stayed in a small guest house that is on the ranch and can do as I pleased. So, I tell Jackie that I need to think about it for a little while. I really didn't. But I didn't want to seem too eager. Jackie went back to talk to Mrs. Ball, and I went back to working on the set. An hour or so later, I felt a tap on my shoulder. I turned around and Jackie said, Well, I said, "I guess it wouldn't hurt to give it a try." "Great," she said with a smile and a twinkle in her eye. She turned around and waved at Mrs. Ball, who in turn broke out in a smile. Then she said, "I want you to meet me at my apartment at 6. We have a lot of work to do. I don't have a roommate, so we won't be disturbed." She handed me a piece of paper with her address already written on it, like she had expected me to say yes. She still had that little twinkle in her eye that I would soon learn was a very good indicator of changes to come. I arrived at 6 and Jackie showed me into a very nicely decorated apartment. It was decorated just the way I had pictured, very feminine. I received a very warm hug and kiss on the cheek. She then became all business. I stopped in the costume storage room and the makeup studio and picked up some things we will need. We have a week to turn you into a girl, and we also have a couple of decisions to make. First, I need to take some measurements. Go in the bathroom and strip to your undershorts and call me when you're ready. I stripped, called her, and she started measuring. My head, my neck, my chest, my waist, my hips, my inseam, etc. The whole time she was talking to herself, no hips, have to work on that. Chest, we'll fix that. Have to slim him down. Legs, not too bad. Etc. Okay, she said, get dressed. But put on these panties in place of your shorts. Then come in the kitchen, we need to talk. I got dressed, replacing my shorts with the panties. They were nylon and felt wonderful. I had really missed this feeling. I walked into the kitchen. She was sitting at the table, sipping a glass of wine. There was one for me sitting across from her on the table. She looked up at me, smiled, and there was that twinkle in her eye again. I sat down across the table from her. And, again, she got right down to business with, the first thing we need to decide on is what to do about your body hair. There are 3 ways we can do this. First, we can shave you from the neck down. We would probably have to shave you every day or 2, and when it grows back it's prickly. Or, we could use a depilatory on you every few days. Messy, but doable. Or, we could go for a full body wax. That would probably last almost until the play is over. What do you think? I hate to shave, wish I didn't have to. I hate chemicals. But, do I really have to remove all my body hair? Yes! It's to help you get into the part. And, it will grow back. But, doesn't the body waxing hurt? A little, to start with. But, you'll get used to it quickly. In fact, I think I have something that will help. Well, I guess we'll just do the body wax. Hopefully we'll only have to do it once. Good, she said with that twinkle in her eye. I'll give my salon a call and see if we can get you in early tomorrow morning. She picked up the portable phone and called her salon. She was able to get me an appointment for 8 in the morning, which was 2 hours before normal opening time. Next, we have to decide on how we are going to accomplish the necessary training to make you a passable girl. I think that you should move in with me for spring break. That will give us a solid week to work on the new you. What do you think? I just sat there, dumbstruck. I couldn't believe that Jackie was inviting me to spend a week living with her, even if I was going to be dressed as a girl the whole time. I was finally able to say, sounds like a plan to me. Finish your wine and get along home. You need a good night's sleep. And you need to be back here by 7. We have a lot of things to do tomorrow. Remember to wear your panties. And the only thing you need to bring with you for the week is your toothbrush. I received another big hug and kiss on the cheek as I left. I stood outside her door for a few minutes, just trying to figure out what I was getting myself into. I finally told myself that this could be fun and it was only for a few weeks. And I headed for my dorm. I was back at Jackie's a little before 7 the next morning and was greeted by the usual hug and kiss on the cheek, followed by the never-ending smile. The first thing she asked was if I was wearing the panties. And, of course I was. She handed me a thing and said that this would be better for the waxing. So, I went and changed. When I came back, she handed me a pill and told me that it would help relax me. We then headed off to the salon. We knocked on the door and a very pretty dark-haired girl opened it. Her name was Barb, and Jackie greeted her like a long-lost friend. They had a short conversation and then Jackie said, Barb will take great care of you. Just listen to what she tells you and everything will be just fine. I'm going to leave you in her capable hands. I have some shopping to do. Barb took my hand and led me to a room off the back of the shop. This appeared to be the waxing room. It has what looks like a comfortable table for the victim, i.e. me, and then a workstation. Barb asked me if I had taken the pill that Jackie had given me and I hadn't. She went and got me a glass of water and told me to take it as it would make me more comfortable. She said it was Xanax and it would just relax me. She had me strip down to the thing and get up on the table. She wanted to start on my back. So, she had me lay on my stomach. I felt her spread the warm wax on my back. It felt good. She then placed a strip of cloth over the wax, smoothed it down, and pulled it off without warning. I jumped and yelled at the same time. She told me to relax and she would wait a few minutes for the pill to kick in. Well, I guess the pill kicked in. I can remember her going back to work, telling me that we were done with my back, bum, and the back of my legs, so I needed to roll over so she could work on my front. I can kind of remember her working on my front, especially in what she called the bikini area. She then did my arms, including my underarms. So at this point, the only hair on my body was on my head and a certain spot. She then took the time to rub in some very nice smelling cream everywhere she had waxed. Now, that felt good. At this point, Jackie walked in the room with a couple of packages. She looked at me on the table, smiled, with that little twinkle in her eye, and asked Barb if she was done. Barb said, "I only have to do that special area that you wanted me to do." Barb then turned to me and had me lie back down and close my eyes. I felt her very carefully spread wax on my right eyebrow, place the cloth strip on, smooth it in place, and pull. Now, that hurt. The pill must be wearing off. I sat up, but Jackie pushed me back down saying, "Better let her finish, so they match." So, back down I went and Barb finished the other eyebrow. I got up from the table and walked over to a full-length mirror to have a look. What I saw in the mirror was me, with nicely arched thin eyebrows and no body hair anywhere. I could see both girls in the mirror and they were standing there smiling with me. Jackie handed me 2 packages and said to put these on before I got dressed. Barb handed me my clothes and showed me to a dressing room. I opened the packages. One contained pantyhose and the other a pair of panties. I sat down and started to put on the pantyhose. I had worn them before, but never over hairless legs. Oh, what a feeling! So smooth and sensuous. The panties were next. They were so tight and smooth. I finished dressing and went back into the waxing room. Jackie had already paid Barb. I thanked her with a big hug. "Thanks for all your hard work. Hope I'll see you again sometime." Barb said, "You will." That went right over my head. We left the shop just as it was opening and headed back to Jackie's apartment. I noticed a number of packages on the back set of her car and asked who they were for. Jackie said, "They're for Cathy." Cathy, I thought. I wonder who Cathy is? When we got back to Jackie's apartment, I helped her carry the packages into the apartment. Some were from the best boutiques in town. There was one from a store I didn't recognize, Breast Allure. Jackie asked, "Did you bring your toothbrush?" I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled it out. I then asked her, "When do I get to meet Cathy?" She took my hand and told me close my eyes. She led me into her bedroom. She then stood behind me and said, "Open your eyes and meet Cathy." When I opened my eyes, the only person I saw was my reflection in a mirror. I liked the name Cathy and thought, unless you had an objection, that we would call you Cathy. Is that okay? Sure, I like the name too. Wonderful. Now, we have to make you look more like a Cathy than a Tom. So, while I'm getting some of the packages from the front room, I want you to strip down to the panties and pantyhose. She turned and walked out of the bedroom and I got undressed, leaving on the pantyhose and panty. She came back in with 3 or 4 packages, including the ones from Breast Allure. The first thing we have to do is give you a girl's figure. And we'll start at the top and work down. She opened the boxes from Breast Allure and removed 2 breast forms. These weren't the cheap forms, but the top of the line with nipples. I had always wanted a set of these, but could never afford them. She then opened a smaller box that had 2 bottles in it, one an adhesive and one an adhesive remover. I got a set of C's and I think that should work for you. I also think that we should attach them so that you know how they feel. The glue is good for a week and then we will need to remove and clean them before reattaching them. The girl at the store said a lot of the crossdressers use these and just love them. So lay down on the bed so that I can get them attached in the proper place. She had that twinkle in her eyes as she playfully pushed me down on the bed. She carefully placed the breast forms on my chest where she thought they should go, moved them around a little, and then marked the position with an eyeliner pencil. She then removed them and spread the glue on the back of one form and on my chest, staying inside the marks. She waited for the glue to become tacky and carefully placed the form back on my chest, holding it in place until the glue set. She then did the same for the other form. After the glue was set, she worked around the edges of the forms to be sure that the edges were firmly attached. Then, she got some special makeup that she had purchased at Breast Allure and worked around the edges with that. When she was done, you couldn't tell where the form ended and my real chest began. She had me sit up. It was a strange feeling, the extra weight on my chest, but a good feeling. I stood up and walked very carefully to the mirror. I looked at my new chest and was just amazed at the difference that it made in my look. I lifted each breast just to see what the weight was. I turned around and smiled at Jackie, and she smiled back. She then went to one of the other packages and took out a demi-bra. She helped me put it on. I was amazed at the cleavage that I now had and to the weight that was supported by the straps. I needed to go to the restroom by now and excused myself. Jackie made one comment, "Remember, you're now a girl. You have to sit to pee." When I came back, she said that there was more to do and that we needed to get busy. She brought out a waist cincher and fastened it around me, pulling it fairly tight. Then came the padded girdle that replaced my panties. She let me look through her closet and pick out a blouse. I found a very nice maroon satin one that, when properly buttoned, showed off my cleavage. I looked for a skirt and wasn't sure what would go with the blouse. So, Jackie picked out a very nice skirt that matched. She said that her shoes wouldn't fit me, so she had purchased 2 pairs for me to try. She gave me a pair of dark blue Mary Janes with a 2-inch heel that fit just perfectly. I walked around in front of the mirror and just couldn't believe what I was seeing. Below the neck, I was seeing a fairly sexy girl with a nice figure. Above the neck, that's another thing. Jackie saw the look on my face as I stared at it in the mirror and said, "This won't work. Be patient, we still have work to do. In fact, sit down at my dressing table and we'll get started on that part." So, I sat with my back to the mirror and she went to work. First a wig cap. Then so many different types of makeup that my head was spinning. She wouldn't let me look in the mirror until the final item was applied. She went over to another package and took out a gorgeous shoulder-length auburn human hair wig, brushed it out a little and placed it firmly on my head. Then fussed with it until she was happy. She then dug through her jewelry box for some clip-on earrings, a necklace, and some rings. She said something about piercing under her breath. She said out loud, "Turn around and have a look, Cathy." I turned and just stared. I couldn't believe that I was seeing. There was a fairly attractive young lady looking back at me. I turned back around and went to give Jackie a big hug, but our lips met and I had the longest, most sensuous kiss that I have ever had. When we finally broke, I took a little step back and stood there with a puzzled look on my face. Jackie just stood there blushing and looking at the floor. She finally broke the silence. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for that to happen. There is nothing to be sorry about." I was just very surprised. "It was nice, very nice," I said as I reached for her hand. She glanced quickly at the clock and said, "Look at the time, it's after 5. I don't think either of us has eaten since breakfast. Let's go to the kitchen and get a quick supper." I let the incident drop and followed her to the kitchen. She fixed us each a salad, saying that I needed to eat less so that I could get into Jennifer's costume and still be able to breathe. This broke the tension and we both laughed. As we were cleaning up, she looked at my hands and said, "Oh no, we forgot to get your nails done. We have time to run to my nail salon and get them done before they close. Come on." She grabbed her purse and we were out the door and in her car before I could think. It then hit me. I was sitting in her car outside, dressed as a woman. Wait, what if someone sees me? Don't worry. What they will see is a very nice-looking college-aged girl. Remember what you saw in the mirror? It looked very good. Yeah, but this is the first time that I've been out in public dressed like this. First time out in public? Dressed like this? Are you trying to tell me something? Well, maybe. I've been cross-dressing for a long time. And I told her everything about my dressing and my Aunt Jane's place. I figured that there was something going on. You agreed a little too easily when I asked you to take Jennifer's place. And there was no complaining about the waxing or spending a full week dressed. You caught me. She reached over and squeezed my hand. Then we headed to the nail salon, which was only a couple of blocks from her apartment. As we pulled up in front of the store, we could see that there was a couple of customers inside. I took a deep breath and got out of the car as ladylike as I could. And we walked into the salon together. Jackie found one of the operators that she knew, talked with her for a minute or two, and then motioned for me to come over. "Cathy, this is Amy. She is a very good nail technician and will do a great job for you." I sat in the chair and Amy went to work. When she was done, I had 10 very nice acrylic French nails that added only about 1/4 inch to my own. Amy asked, "Would you also like a pedicure?" I looked at Jackie. She smiled and nodded yes. On the way home, we stopped and picked up a bottle of wine. And I asked, "You set me up to go out dressed like this, didn't you? You didn't forget about nails, you planned this way." "Yes," she said, with a little grin. "I thought that it would be a good way to get you out the first time. To rush you out the door on some errand, so that you didn't have time to think about it. It worked, didn't it?" "Yes." Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Thanks.